Chapter 325. The Pedophile and His Child Brides, Part 6. The happy Barkatullah family came to the Mumbai Chhatrapati Shivaji International Airport accompanied by more than 100 Muslim brethren. Half of the guests who celebrated were present at the big feast came to the airport to see the blessed Muslim man, Sheikh Barkatullah off. In keeping with his new station in life, Barkatullah rented 2 buses for those who wanted to come to the airport and say goodbye to him. The 2 buses picked up all the guests from their houses and brought them to the airport. The Barkatullah clan, his wife, their 9 children, and some very close Muslim relatives came to the airport in a third hired minibus. The wife and the 4 daughters were eager to meet the blessed and loyal Muslim girl, Ifat Khan. Barkatullah told his family that one of his Arab partners had a very faithful and holy Indian Muslim maidservant. He told his wife and daughters in particular that when they would meet Ifat Khan they should try to convince her to unveil herself and show them her face. Then, if her face pleased them, they should tell her about the proposal of his eldest son, Maqsood Barkatullah. If Ifat accepted the proposal, they should have a big wedding party and get Maqsood married to the blessed Muslim girl immediately upon their return. That day, Sheikh Barkatullah was smartly dressed up to the point that people that had known him before might not have recognized him. If he claimed to be an Indian celebrity, a film star, a minister, or a big shot, no one would deny it. His sons also sported new attires. In keeping with the men, his wife and 5 daughters were dressed up in new Muslim burqas. Everyone in their social circle came to the airport that particular afternoon to talk to the man of the hour and get his blessings. The happy Wakil was so uncharacteristically generous that day. He was distributing 10s, 50s, and 100s Indian rupees notes like flowers. Everyone shook hands with him, got blessed by some money. Barkatullah would put his hand into his pocket and whatever note came out he would place it in the hand of the man or woman that shook his hand. His pocket was like a lucky jackpot machine. Everyone received according to his or her luck. Some people got 10 rupee notes, some 50 notes, and some very lucky ones got 100 notes. He was not bothered if he finished all of the 1 lakh rupees that he got as an advance from the old Saudi. He knew that in less than 24 hours he was going to receive 70 million Indian rupees. His plan all along was to give his accomplices 4 crores and keep 3 crores for himself. The corrupt judge of the High Court would get as a first installment 2 crores rupees and the 2 crooked police commissioners would receive 1 crore each and the remaining 3 crores would remain in the account of the luckiest and happiest Muslim lawyer in the entire world. The airport police officers who arrested the kidnapper and rapist of the 11-year-old Indian girl would receive 2 lakhs each, 200,000 Indian rupees each. Amina's family would get 50,000 rupees as a first payment. Barkatullah volunteered to pay those airport police officers and the victim's family from his lion's share. After the trial was successfully conducted and the Arab old man was released with honor, the same distribution process would be repeated again. Barkatullah promised to pay the airport police officers and Amina's family in cash. For the judge and the 2 police commissioners he would transfer their shares into a secret foreign account of their choosing. It was up to each one of them which bank they would nominate, be it in an Arab or a Western country. While Sheikh Barkatullah prepared everything, he forgot one critical thing. He reached the airport 3 hours prior to his flight as was decided by the old Saudi. Ifat Khan was supposed to reach at the same time and meet him outside the airport. Then, the plan required the 2 of them had to proceed toward the departure hall and begin the process of their overseas flight. That particular afternoon Barkatullah waited 1 hour outside the airport without seeing Ifat Khan. He thought that the obedient and loyal Indian Muslim maidservant had come, and did not meet up with him because of his huge retinue of well-wishers. Shrugging this small matter off would change his fate. He bid his family and admirers farewell and proceeded inside the departure hall. His head was turning around like a table fan and searching for the girl in black burqa. While he was searching, his heart was beating inside his chest like a tabla, a traditional flat India ceremonial drum. His search for Ifat grew more frantic and crazier every second as the minutes passed by. With the passing of another nail-biting half-hour, when he did not sight his accomplice in the black burqa who had, in the past few weeks, been like his black shadow, he ran to the information office and paid for an urgent announcement. The information office announced the name of Ifat Khan all over the international airport and requested her to come as soon as possible to the inquiry office and meet her uncle Sheikh Barkatullah. The announcement was made thrice. Barkatullah waited another half-hour at the information office without seeing Ifat Khan. He left the office, ran to another airport office, and inquired about his and his niece's flight. The office confirmed their bookings, but they said they had no clue whether his niece had arrived in the departure hall and passed through the checkpoint and completed her process and headed towards the Saudi plane or not. He was advised to rush to the security checkpoint before he missed his flight. The frantic man ran as if being chased by a wild beast. He could not feel his feet or his body. He stumbled on someone's hand luggage and fell clumsily, ignored the pain and humiliation, got up quickly and resumed his panicked running. At the departure hall entrance, the airport security prevented his entry because he had neither passport nor ticket. He begged the police to allow him, but his pleadings fell on deaf ears. The police threatened to arrest him and throw him behind bars if he continued to bother them. Barkatullah was almost cried when the airport police pushed him back. His tears were falling from his eyes like hot acid. With half an hour before takeoff when he heard his name and that of Ifat Khan being hailed to gate number 14, the announcer stressing that it was a last call for the Zurich flight, he once again presented himself at the boarding checkpoint. When he faced the airport police the second time, explaining that he was responding to the announcement, they once again requested for his boarding pass and his passport. He stood around until he was kicked out again. When the plane took off, Sheikh Barkatullah fell on his knees and began to weep. Some kind Indians came and helped him to stand again on his feet. His feet, which moments ago propelled him at breakneck speed, now became so feeble that he had to be helped by some people until he found a bench and sat on it. It took him long time to come back to his senses. The first step he decided to take was to run to the hotel, find that stupid Indian Muslim girl, and kick her left and right for forgetting to come to the airport and for unnecessarily missing her flight. When he came out, he found all his family members and admirers had already gone. He absently visualized the happy moment when all of them saw the airplane taking off, waving at him. He was not looking forward to the abject shock and sadness when his family members would learn that the rapture took place, but he was left behind. With his small bag in his hand, Sheikh Barkatullah stopped a taxi and told him to take him to Bombay Central. It took him 1 hour to reach Ifat Khan's hotel. The ride was far from peaceful, with his anger mounting with rage as his taxi did battle with the typical Mumbai traffic. When the taxi dropped him in front of the hotel, he felt like exploding any moment. He ran inside the hotel and asked the front desk girl, in a tone that did not hide his indescribable anger, to summon the room of Ifat Khan and ask her to come down as soon as possible to meet her outraged uncle Sheikh Barkatullah. He had already complained to the front desk that he had missed his flight to Zurich because his niece, Ifat Khan, had forgotten to come to the Mumbai International Airport and fly with him to Europe to conduct a very important business deal. The front desk girl said to him that Ifat Khan had not returned to the hotel for 2 days. Neither had she checked out yet. Her bag and personal effects were in her room. Barkatullah's heart escaped a few beatings. He fell on his knees once again and held his head. This time, he did not cry. He would if he could, but he lost some of his senses and his mouth was paralyzed. When Sheikh Barkatullah somehow overcame his second rude shock of the day and cleared his mind so he could unravel the mess, the first place he decided to go to was the Arthur Road jail. Maybe he could find out what had happened to the accursed girl in the black burqa there. On his way in yet another taxi, he had the sinking feeling that if he could not find out where Ifat Khan had gone to, he would just simply die of a major heart attack or lose his mind and end up in a mental hospital. He began to talk to himself as if he was a madman. He talked to his Allah and begged him to intervene before he committed suicide. That now became his third options, none of them particularly appealing. From the exultant and joyous mood in the airport, he was now suicidal. At the jail, he was told that the visiting time was over. He was advised to come on the next day. Barkatullah knew that his mental condition would not allow him to survive for 24 hours without knowing where Ifat Khan was. Therefore, he paid a bribe of 2,000 rupees and convinced the jail authority to allow him to meet his client. When the old man came to know what had happened, he spit on the face of his lawyer 10 times and called him every filthy Hindi word he had learned in jail. He accused him of conspiring with his Indian maidservant. The first thought that erupted in the volcano-like mind of the old man was that the Indian Muslim lawyer convinced his Indian wife to double-cross her Arab master and steal his money and divide it between them. For that reason, he spat on his lawyer's face and showered him with bad language. He also threatened that he would pay a huge amount of money to some Gondas he was now acquainted to in jail and wipe out Barkatullah, family and all. With his threat registering firmly on his lawyer's face, he gave him 24 hours to abandon his wicked scheme and bring his Indian maidservant to him, with the two of them on their knees, repentant and begging of his forgiveness. If his maidservant refused to come to him, he would tell the Gondas to find her, gang rape her and then kill her in the most cruel and brutal way that they knew. He even swore by his Allah that he would tell his Gondas to tie her legs up between 2 horses and split her body in 2 halves. Sheikh Ahmed came to know of that inhumane and cruel punishment in the Islamic school while he was studying the biography of his prophet. Muhammad killed an old woman, Gurfa, for criticizing him. The prophet instructed her legs be tied to 2 camels and her body torn into 2 halves. Gurfa was over 100 years old when she was sentenced to her violent death. In keeping with tradition, the furious and extremely outraged old man swore by his Allah that if his lawyer and his maidservant would not show up on the following day, he would send some Gondas to kill them in exactly the same way. After receiving the death threat, Sheikh Barkatullah returned again to the hotel and begged the management to supply him with any clues that might lead him to the whereabouts of Ifat Khan. He proposed to pay a few thousands of rupees if anyone would give him any clues. The hotel staff apologized and explained that they had no idea where their hotel guest went. One front desk girl advised him to search for her in hospitals in case she met with accident or in police lockups in case she ran in trouble with the law. Barkatullah knew that there were hundreds of hospitals and many police lockups in Mumbai. He would have needed more than a month to go from hospital to hospital and from one police lockup to another. He no longer considered Ifat Khan as the most holy and honest girl he had met. Now, she was no longer the angel-like Muslim girl, to him she was now some satanic female creature. He hated her with a passion for turning his great joy and happiness within overnight into chaos, panic, and great sadness. He abhorred her for snatching his life's opportunity from his hands and in its place, life threats to him and to the members of his family. He knew that if the old Saudi man decided to carry out his threats, his family members and he would meet their cruel end at the hands of the ruthless Mumbai Gondas within 24 hours. Sheikh Barkatullah understood that he could not solve the problem of the missing maidservant alone. He decided to involve his accomplices in his search for the missing Indian maidservant of his Arab client. He wasted no time phoning the police commissioner of Mumbai and told him about the sad news and asked him to help him in locating the missing girl. The police commissioner, even more disturbed and troubled than the Muslim lawyer. More than just the 1 crore rupees in the balance, this was a man who was not used to being swindled. He told Barkatullah that he would mobilize the entire police department of Mumbai searching for Ifat Khan. He promised to find her within 24 hours. The citywide search hit its first hurdle when they realized that they had no photo of Ifat Khan. Coming in from Iran, the only clue the 18-year-old had left behind was a photocopy of her passport at the hotel, issued when she was 8. The police commissioner contacted the Mumbai international and domestic airports. Both airports did not find a record of a girl by that name or description travelling out of the city. The police commissioner sent over 50 police officers to all the railway stations at Mumbai in search of the missing girl. They could neither disprove nor confirm that Ifat Khan left on a train. Every hospital and police lockup in the city was searched. In less than 24 hours, the city was searched in and out. As if the earth was opened up and swallowed Ifat Khan in. During that citywide search, Sheikh Barkatullah rented a room in a hotel and spent the entire night on his knees crying to his Allah and begging him to intervene and save him and his family from the greatest catastrophe that he had ever encountered.